Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Sudharsana Srinivasan. I work at IBM as an IBM Z Advocacy Program Manager. I am also a TSC co-chair for the COBOL programming course at Open Mainframe Project. Welcome to OMP Summit 2021. It gives me great pleasure in introducing our COBOL project summer mentees. As we all know, COBOL was quite famous since 2020, got the spotlight, and since then, a lot of focus, a lot of folks wanting to learn COBOL, the whole community has come together. And well before all of that happened, we were busy already putting together a new COBOL programming course, and that's the programming course that landed back in April 2020 on Open Mainframe Project. It is one of the most starred projects and with over 3,000 learners on our Slack channel. That said, this was the first time COBOL was part of the Open Mainframe Summer Mentorship Project. And we're really excited that we have 4 young students who were able to be part of the COBOL projects that were offered as a summer mentorship opportunity. Without further ado, let me take a quick moment to introduce the students, and we will hear in great detail from each of them on their projects. COBOL programming course updates. This was a project that was part of the COBOL programming course project within OMP. We had our 2 summer mentees. We were lucky to have 2 summer mentees on this project, Ahmed and Hartanto Widjaya. They have worked tirelessly for the past 3 months, this whole summer, in updating the beginner level course and also adding some topics to the advanced course to make it a much more rich and enriching learning experience for our learner community. We also then have 2 other projects that were then part of the COBOL working group, which is another project, assistive project here at OMP to drive COBOL engagement in the community. The 2 projects that were part of the COBOL working group are the Kicks and COBOL and a laptop version. Joshua Fogus was part of that project as a mentee and worked on implementing a laptop version of the COBOL programming course to make it easy for students who may not have internet connectivity. We'll hear more from Josh here in a moment. The last project that was also part of the COBOL mentorship program is the COBOL modernization, which Sudhanshu Dubey worked on. And we'd love to hear more from Sudhanshu on how he took a sample project, a sample COBOL program, a banking application, and sort of introduced APIs and modern programming languages into it, and hear more from him on that. So without further ado, we'll give it up to the COBOL summer mentees. Want to thank them for their amazing work and spending their summer with us here at OMP. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in.
Hello, so this is the 2021 Summer Mentorship presentation for the COBOL programming course. It will be a joint presentation by the mentee, me, Ahmed, and Hartanto. So the presentation will be consistent of an introduction where we will introduce ourselves and our mentors, then a goal of the goals of the mentorship, then what we have finished until now and what we have learned through the 3 months of the mentorship. Then we'll talk about our favorite part of the mentorship and what advice will we give the future mentee. So I am Ahmed. I am an engineering student from Egypt. I have been learning programming for the last 2 years, so mainly through open source courses and project and reading open source code. So I was really happy to be able to give back to the community and contribute to an open source project. I came to know about the COBOL and the mainframe about 4 months ago, and since then I have been learning a lot about COBOL, the mainframe, and the operating system, and kicks, and a lot of fun stuff. One of our mentor is Dashna. She is an IBM program manager. She have been very helpful to both of us through the mentorship. She have introduced us to a lot of people who will be helpful to us in our career and give us a lot of resources to learn more and to be able to successfully finish our mentorship.
For me, my name is Hartanto. I'm a student from Singapore. I decided to join this program because I enjoy helping others to achieve their goal and to basically guide them to complete the course successfully. I have just over 1 year of experience with COBOL and mainframe in general. And the best part of the year for me is the community, which has been very welcoming and encouraging to everyone. And one of our other mentor is Michael Bauer. He's a product owner at WordCom, and he's been helping us a lot with our PRs and our technical inquiries. So, an overview of our project. So the problem we face is that our sister project Sui is continuously being updated, resulting in our screenshot being outdated. So we will need to update those screenshots to reflect the latest version of Zoe. And we also aim to add additional topics to our Getting Started course, such as labs or search, and also introductory JCL content. And we also tried to see if we can update our advanced topic course with more materials to meet our release requirement. So basically, the outcome of our mentorship project is to release another version of the Getting Started course and also an initial release of the advanced topic course if possible. Total achievements so far. We have added new content to the course, which include table handling and object-oriented COBOL. We updated the existing content to reflect changes in our sister project Sui Explorer, and also manage issues on GitHub and incorporate those that added value to the course. So some of our key learnings. We found that open source contribution is not a scary thing to do, even for students like us. However, we note that some projects do have workflow for opening PRs and issues, which first-time contributors must be aware of. And we also learned that COBOL is basically a very important tool even nowadays, and we basically learn more about it and the mainframe. So do check out our GitHub by scanning the QR code to check our latest release for the course and also our progress.
So in the Zoe part, we have successfully updated all the screenshot and any content that have changed in the last Zoe version. And we also updated any images that contain any code snippets that was not compliant with the theme of the course. So everything will be consistent through the entire course. We have a lot of pull requests that have been already merged with the project that contain fixed to the Getting Started course and a new content for both the courses, and we still have other chapters that will be added in the future to the project. My favorite part of the mentorship was getting to work with professionals who have many years of experience than me, and learning from them and the way they approach a problem and solve it and how they communicate. And since this was my first open source project, I get to open my first pull request here. I also was very happy to be a part of a project that helped a lot of people learn and grow.
For me, my favorite part of this mentorship is basically interact with people and SMEs from all around the world. For example, Ahmed here is from Egypt, I'm from Singapore. Our mentors are from the US, and we also meet SMEs from UK as well. So we basically learn and network with them.
So an advice I will have for a future mentee is if you are discouraged and afraid you don't have enough experience or you're not good enough to successfully finish the mentorship, it's fine. You will probably be fine as long as you put in the time and ready to put in the effort to finish it. and everyone is very helpful and will give you the help you need through the mentorship to finish it. So don't have courage in yourself or believe in yourself, I think.
Yep, as Ahmed said, basically we shouldn't be afraid to ask questions to someone even more senior than us. Oftentimes they have stories and skills they can teach you, which you can learn a lot from. So that's basically it for our COBOL programming course update presentation. Do check out our GitHub page to keep in touch with our updates and to basically try out our new release course. And stay tuned for our future updates since we are still planning to add a little bit more to our course. And perhaps we are looking into adding gigs in, so stay tuned. Thank you, everyone.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh Fogus and I worked on the laptop option for COBOL programming course under the guidance of Gary Evans and Misty Decker. To start things off, let's take a quick look at what this project is. Learning COBOL on a mainframe necessarily requires an internet connection. Prior to this mentorship, Micro Fogus had made a version of the COBOL programming course using their software, which ran on AWS's x86 machines. Since this still required an internet connection, it was not usable for people who had no internet connection or for whom an internet connection was unreliable. To reach the people without a reliable internet connection, I created a virtual machine and installed the Micro Fogus software inside of it, set up the environment, and downloaded the coursework into it. This allows the COBOL programming coursework to be completed from inside of the virtual machine without ever needing to connect to the internet. The idea then is that a learner can go to a public facility or university, connect to the internet there, download the virtual machine, then return home or wherever they may like to study and complete the COBOL coursework. Now that we have a high-level view of what I created, let's get down to the specifics. The virtual appliance, which the learner will import to create the virtual machine on their system, is an OVA file, and the virtual disk is a VMDK file. This means that out of the box, the appliance can be imported into either VirtualBox or VMware. Other hypervisors can be used, but require file conversion and are not supported. Also, the host machine must have x86 hardware, since that was the hardware on which the virtual machine was created. At the time of recording, the location of where the appliance will be hosted has not been determined. We are also working on getting a trial license of the Micro Fogus software set up prior to distribution. Once these are resolved, the virtual appliance should be ready for launch. Inside of the virtual machine, we have two different options of operating system. There's a Linux version running CentOS 8, which is about a 4 GB download, and a Windows 10 version, which is about a 25 GB download. This is the extent of the differences between the two virtual machines. On top of the operating system is the Micro Fogus Enterprise Developer software. This is what makes it possible to learn mainframe technologies offline. It allows for building COBOL source code, submitting JCL, and receiving output from the job, as we'll see shortly. To view and edit the COBOL and JCL and interact with the Micro Fogus Enterprise server, VS Code has been installed. Inside of VS Code, there are a series of task scripts created to streamline work like starting and stopping the server and submitting JCL and receiving the output. The Micro Fogus COBOL extension is also installed into VS Code, which provides syntax highlighting for COBOL. Now that we know what's inside, let's have a look at it in action. First, let's look at what's involved in importing the virtual appliance. To import, we'll need to go to File, Import Appliance, and then tell it where the virtual appliance is located. Then we'll need to update the number of CPU cores and RAM to which the virtual machine should have access. I was able to run it with as low as 1 core and 1 GB of RAM and have it run reasonably quick. Lower resources may also be possible, but with slower performance. Once the import button is clicked, it's just a matter of time until the virtual machine is ready to go. Now that we've seen how to get the virtual machine ready, let's see what it looks like once we started it up. This demo will use the CentOS machine. At the GNOME desktop, click Activities, then VS Code to open the editor. From there, click File, then Open Folder, and navigate to the projects folder. The specific path to open is located in the course instructions. Once the folder is opened, go to Terminal, Run Task, and click on Initialize Coursework. This will set up path names in the scripts to ensure that it will run in this particular environment. Once the environment is set up, the learner can complete all the coursework. Interactions with the Micro Fogus Enterprise server are performed from the Terminal, Run Task menu. From this menu, you can build the currently open COBOL file. You can also start or create the server regions to which the job will be submitted. Jobs are submitted to the server from this menu as well. Again, the open file will be the job that is submitted. Finally, this menu allows you to retrieve the job output, which is stored in the output folder. Going through the coursework will walk the learner through all of these steps, introducing each task at appropriate times. Once the virtual machine is officially launched, populations who would never have been able to complete the COBOL coursework can start learning mainframe technologies. To say that in numbers, this virtual machine can bring mainframe learning to the 28% of the world in an urban setting who don't have internet access, and to the 63% of the world living in rural settings who don't have internet access. Thank you for watching.
Hello everyone and welcome to the COBOL Mentorship session of the Open Mainframe Summit. This is the project COBOL Modernization and I am Sudhanshu Dubey. The team of this project was Guy Sofer, Gary Evans, Misty Decker, who were all my mentors, and then there's me, Sudhanshu Dubey, the mentee. This project was sponsored by the COBOL Working Group and Micro Fogus. The aim of this project was to demonstrate the options for modernizing an existing COBOL application to address the business needs and prove the future possibilities. And such, the tasks were: 1. Modernize the legacy banking application. 2. Generate the documentation required to understand and reproduce the project. And 3. Tell the whole world very loudly and clearly that if a student can do it, any business can too, using conferences, webinars, etc. Let's look at the first task: modernize the legacy banking application. It had 4 parts. The first was analyzing the COBOL application. Second, identifying services candidates, isolating and exposing them as services, and lastly, connecting them to a new modern UI. So throughout the project, we analyzed the COBOL application and identified 4 services which we will look later on. We isolated and exposed them as services, and we used some modern tools to build UIs for them. The end result is a happy customer which every business wants. This is the first service of the 4 and it's called the sign-on service. In this, you provide the username and password and it authenticates them. So it's basically an authentication service, and this is how it looked before. Now it looks like this. The sign-on service is part of the other 2 services because it does not make sense to do authentication when you do not have any authorized task to perform. Then we have the account balance UI, which gives us the different accounts that the user has and their current balances. This is the before look, and this is how it is now. Now it's an Android application that you can install and use. Then we have the update contact UI, where you can update your contact information that are there in the records. And this is how it looks now. Now it's a web app built using PHP, HTML and CSS. Finally, we have the loan calculator UI, where you enter the values and you get how much money you need to pay monthly. The before look, and this is the current look. Now it's also a web app, but it's built using Python and the Flask framework. The interesting part is that Python directly interfaces with COBOL in this particular service. The second task was generating the documentation. In this, we have written the technical documentation, which contains the original and target architecture, guides to extract the required code and create enterprise developer projects, how to configure enterprise server regions, and how to deploy the modern UI. You can scan this QR code to reach our GitHub repositories to access these technical documentation. We also wrote blogs. The title of these blogs are Stepping Through the Door to the Mainframe World, COBOL Modernization, The Way Forward, and Analyzing Application Older Than You Are. You can scan this other QR to reach our blogs, which are hosted on the Open Mainframe project site. We presented at various conferences and webinars, which includes Enterprise Computing Conference, the 2021 Share Virtual Experience. There was a webinar by Micro Fogus titled Modernizing Code Older Than You Are, One Student's Journey. Then we are here right now at the Open Mainframe Summit, and we will also be presenting at the Open Source Summit. You can scan the first QR to see the recording of the webinar, and you can scan the second QR to reach our session at the Open Source Summit. The conclusion I would say is that COBOL modernization is a simple and doable process. Now by simple I mean it's a well-defined process, and by doable I mean there are excellent tools available, and it's urgent. The FDIC's chief states legacy systems as the #1 concern for banks, So COBOL modernization is a simple and doable process which is also very urgent. That's the message we want to deliver. Thank you.